So George Miller kind of stepped in it yesterday. He's on the press tour right now for Furiosa. I almost called it Mad Max, but no, it's Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, because we couldn't just get Mad Max 5. Anyway, yeah, he was on the red carpet and somebody asked him. I think it was like somebody from IGN or somebody, like a game journo, said like asked him what he thought of the Mad Max game, and he said he didn't like it, so which is weird. So George Miller didn't like the 2015 Mad Max game. Says he wants Hideo Kojima to make one, but I would never ask him. And then they talk about how Avalanche came out to defend it, and I mean I'll get to it, but like I thought that game was great. So yeah, Australian director George Miller has recently been on the circuit promoting Furiosa, a Mad Max saga, which releases today. And someone called Hideo Kojima has done a good job. Well, why did they word it like that? And someone called Hideo Kojima has done a good job inserting himself into the story. Well, they are working together now. George Miller's in Death Stranding too, because Hideo Kojima has like a crush on he says that George Miller is his god, which is kind of weird. Like he tweeted out that he loved Furiosa so much and that he's his god, which is bizarre. The video game director has a long-held obsession, for Miller's work, and after attending an early screening, delivered the extremely measured verdict that George Miller is my god and the saga that he tells is my Bible. Like, jeez. Kojima also made the effort to travel to Cannes for the film's premiere, where Miller was collared by Gaming Bible. Oh, it was Gaming Bible that asked him about his interest in making games based on the new film. Quote, well, we did have a video game made when we did Fury Road, said Miller. We've been asking many, many times to do one. It wasn't as good as I wanted it to be. It wasn't in our hands. We gave all our material to a company to do it. But I'm not one of those people, but I'd rather not to do something unless you can do it at the highest level, or at least try to make it at the highest level. Here, Miller is here referencing Avalanche Studios' 2015 game Mad Max, and perhaps a little unfairly, but we'll return to that. The director goes on to talk about who he's just met on the red carpet. Quote, I've just been speaking to Kojima here, who came all the way from Japan. If he would take it on, he's got so much fantastic stuff in his own head that I would never ask him. But if I was someone like that who would take it on because I couldn't do it. The interviewer asks Miller to make it happen, to which Miller laughs and says, all right. Okay, first, here's what I have to say about that. No. Hideo Kojima, what he makes now, it stretches the term, stretches the definition of game. Like Death Stranding was, let's be honest, it was a package simulator. It was a walking simulator where you're delivering. It's a FedEx Man simulator. The gameplay was not good. The story was bizarre, like usual Kojima. I wish Kojima would just do what he wants, what he really wants to do, which is filmmaking. Just go make movies, because it takes so much longer to make a game, and what he makes is so bizarre that it could be a movie. I don't get him. And ironically, it's kind of funny. I wonder if they even brought this up, but the Mad Max game, the financial failure of that game is directly because of Kojima. MGS5 came out the same day as Mad Max. So it's weird that they're friends and he's obsessed with him, and then this game came out the same day and completely crushed Mad Max the game. So I wonder if they remember that, or if they even referenced that it happened. But the Mad Max game is supremely underrated. I think it's probably one of the most underrated games of last gen, up there with Prey. It's a shame that not as many people have played it. I haven't touched it since 2015. I played, I think, most of it. I didn't get to the end though, because it was grindy as hell. Some of the side objectives were kind of not interesting, but I know the gameplay was cool. It was kind of like Twisted Metal vehicle combat. I thought it was great. And the character in that, Scrotus, apparently is in Furiosa, because that game is a prequel. And, Mad Max doesn't really look like Tom Hardy in it, nor does he look like Mel Gibson. But I liked the game. It was cool. And then the idea of Hideo Kojima making a licensed title may seem ludicrous, but if there's one series that he'd be likely to make an exception for, it's Mad Max, and the chance to work directly with, quote, my ultimate mentor, Miller. You can't overstate how much Kojima loves this guy, and it's actually one of the more charming elements of his personality. It greatly offsets the lofty auteur presence Kojima often projects, for me at least, and he's so boyishly enthusiastic about his own passions. And in fact, he's already working with Miller. Yeah, he's in Death Stranding too, I said that. But whether Kojima is interested in a Mad Max game or not, the other element here is that the unwarranted drive-by on 2015's Mad Max. I wouldn't say this game was a classic exactly, but it's one of those that does what it sets out to do. PCG's review summed up by saying, the exciting and satisfying car combat goes a long way towards making up for the rest of Mad Max's shortcomings. Yeah, it got like a 77 from them. And it was made by Avalanche, people who made Just Cause. And then, yeah, the people that he came out in defense of it. The game was made by Avalanche, and following Miller's unkind words about it, the studio's founder, Christopher Sundberg, came out swinging in the game's defense. And one of those cosmic coincidences, Sundberg first points out, yeah, exactly, points out that Mad Max released at a terrible time, by which he means it released the same day as Metal Gear Solid 5: The Phantom Pain. This was Kojima's last Konami title and an all-timer. It's weird timing. Sundberg says he tried to convince WB to avoid this release date, but no dice, as we were forced to release Mad Max on the same day as MGS. They blamed us for bad sales and canceled a bunch of awesome DLC. Oh, I didn't know that. That sucks. That was just sitting there waiting to be released. Crap. As for Miller's comments that it wasn't as good as I wanted to be, Sundberg has some choice words. Quote, this is complete nonsense and just shows complete arrogance, said Sundberg. They did everything they could to make this a complete linear game after having signed up with a developer of open-world games. I'm sure Hideo Kojima would make an awesome Mad Max game, but it would be a completely different experience. Yeah. What would the gameplay be? It would just be one long cutscene. The game as is could be described as a small open world, but Sundberg says it was a fight to get there against top-down mandates that it be more linear. Quote, after the first year of development, they realized they had forced us to make a linear experience rather than the open world game we pitched, said Sundberg. We threw away a year of work and got to hear that players want autonomy in this day and age. Well, no shit. Sundberg ends by returning to that release window and defending a game he's clearly proud of. I can fill X with true stories about the development of Mad Max. It was a hell of a great game, but released on a terrible release window, which we could not convince the publisher to do otherwise. Unquote. Honestly, fair enough. That Mad Max game is something of a cult favorite now. Yeah, I actually just reinstalled it because of Furiosa and all that. And if you can pick it up at a decent price, it's definitely worth the time. It's certainly leagues above movie tie-ins, and if nothing else, deserves praise for making an open desert wasteland visually interesting. As for Kojima and Mad Max, well, it would be one hell of a team-up, but I'm just not sure how much spare time Kojima has. Yeah, he's working on Death Stranding 2 and OD, and a film adaptation of Death Stranding. Plus, he has to post incessantly about what he's had for dinner. Yeah, that's weird. But if Kojima's ever going to allow himself a little licensed indulgence, this will be the one. Okay, the only way I could see this happening is if George... I mean, he's not a young dude. I think he's 80 now. Like, I think he was 70, almost 70 when Fury Road came out. And I think maybe they'll become friends enough that George passes, like, the Mad Max mantle onto... Kojima, maybe, or like maybe if he dies before he can finish making his film or something. Like that would be interesting because Kojima wants to make films. Imagine if George Miller dies halfway through making Mad Max 5 with Tom Hardy returning, and he has it set up ahead of time that, hey, if I croak, can you finish it? And he has Kojima finish it. Would be fascinating. But personally, I just want to see George Miller make at least one more. I would like to see an old man Mel Gibson Mad Max movie, but I don't think that's going to happen. But yeah, I don't see Kojima doing a Mad Max game. It's just weird. But I don't know. We'll see what George Miller has up his sleeve. I personally haven't seen Furiosa yet. I'm probably going to see it tomorrow, but I don't know. And then I'm going to be replaying the game too as well. So what do you think about all this? Did you play that 2015 Mad Max game? Have you seen Furiosa? Are you going to? And which is your favorite Mad Max movie? Let me know. Comment, share, like, subscribe if you haven't. And I'll see you next time. Peace out.